I think that I cracked the code. Tennessee Williams said that he couldn't possess his own life until he had written about it. And so all of his work was centered around observing and interpreting his experience inside the human condition. And that is pretty powerful. It's pretty powerful stuff. I wrote in a play once that I created, I wrote, I couldn't possess my own life until I had acted it. And so I found adventure and alter ego and muses in all the characters that I played. I found interest in the villains, the people that lived outside of the norm. I couldn't I didn't get a lot of work when I was in my early 20s, and then in my early 30s I began to recognize that the characters that I was going to play are going to be older, like edgier characters. There was like a rough edge. I always asked myself, what is the 180-degree question? The question that turns a line, turns a statement, turns a behavior, turns a context around on its head, so to speak. How can I interpret this in a variety of different ways and experience something unexpected, not only for myself as the actor, but also the character exhibiting the depths and the nuance of the human experience, and then also for the audience to propose another way of interpreting their experience, holding a mirror up to their faces. And after a certain sequence of projects that I did, I became very satisfied. I became very connected. I approached everything to see if I could do it, to prove it to myself that I could do it. And then when I accomplished it, I needed nothing more than that feeling, the the feeling of success around having accomplished it, and doing those things, doing those projects, those films. The adventure of doing them was the experience that I wanted. Like, I wanted to do a foreign film. I wanted to do a film that captured the hearts of the world in a way that was spiritual. So I did that. I also played some crazy characters. I played um, Nazis. I played Aryan Brotherhoods. I played villains. I played bad people, quote unquote bad people. And one of the things that I learned in that process is inside of each of us is everyone. Everyone is capable of something like that. And it taught me compassion. So these characters were my muses. They were, these characters I could dive into their world, create their backstory, create all of the experiences that they had, and apply them to my own emotional vocabulary. What is it like? What is in them, the Adolf Eichmanns, the characters that I could play? What is like me in them, and amplify that? And that taught me compassion. It taught me empathy. How am I going to justify, from the character's point of view, the the experience that character needs to have in order to take the action that that character takes? To And as a director, working with a cast and working with a variety of different characters, so many of which I would never be cast as, that were so far beyond who I am. But the curiosity to be open to discovery about who these people are, that was the mission, that was the goal. And I accomplished it. And then I got to a place where, like, I didn't have to prove it to myself again. And if any of you out there have had the pleasure of connecting with an actor or a writer, quite often we go into a very dark place. And it's required of us to live truthfully in those imaginary circumstances. And so there was a moment in my career where I didn't want to go there anymore because I would go there fully, and I had my process to bring myself out after each time that I would take on one of these characters. And at the end of when I started to take a break, when I started to separate myself from that experience inside the entertainment industry, I'd gotten a call from my representative, and they said this casting agent wants to see you, wants to see you for this role. And I didn't see myself in the role, but they wanted to see me, and I would never have turned down the option. But I had decided to take a year off of auditioning, and this was a while ago, and it was about 5 years ago actually. And I was on cloud nine in my life. I was in like I cloud nine, and they sent me this script, and I read it, and I knew that it would just to audition for it, and I knew that it was going to require me to go into a dark place just for the audition. And I didn't want to put myself there. I'd gotten to a place where I knew I could do it. This is on, this is in context with like having another film that I was supposed to do, and then it backed out a month before. This was supposed to shoot overseas. And the need to prove it to myself was no longer there. And I realized like when I would do events and I would host things that Brion showed up. Brion showed up on the red carpets. Brion showed up on the in the in the in the platforms, the interviews. Brion liked the experience, but I was exposing myself. I was meant to be, the next step was to be like celebrity. Like I knew that that was the next step. So I had to propose to myself the choice of that it was going to take constant proving to myself over and over and over again. But then it became proving to other people. Then it became proving over and over again. No matter what I did, it was always as good as the last project, and it was going to be a lifetime of that. And I didn't mind that necessarily, but I had no safeguard for who I was. I knew who I was, and that wasn't necessarily a protected state of being. So we have these I saw a post where Lady Gaga is, she has her alter ego, and David Bowie had his alter ego, Michael Jackson, like all of these, there's this alter ego that carries them into that light, that carries them into, and it allows them to have their own sanctuary of self, and then they step into this alter ego. My alter ego is always my characters, all the different characters, the different projects. So maybe in this year that I turn 50, I get to find an alter ego, because, or let manifest my alter ego, because this everything that's happening in our world right now is a lot. So maybe we get to find an alter ego, something that represents an essence, a part of who we are, to help get through this. And what is that alter ego? That that horse, that white horse, that lion as an archetype. What's that muse for you? Anyway, just a thought. I'll be posting more today. Talk to you soon.